So you're not trying to be so slick that you can sell ice, or ice to an Eskimo, so to speak.
You want to do this, quote unquote, build a relationship with somebody, and they get the sense that you're really not speaking them directly. You're not really building a relationship with them. And people see through that now.
You can increase your sales by 30-40% just by doing email right.
Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. The subscription market is predicted to grow to nearly $500 billion by 2025. As a fast-growing area in commerce, subscriptions hold tremendous opportunity to build a community of customers who share your values. Recharge is the leading subscription management solution helping e-commerce merchants of all sizes launch and scale subscription offerings. Recharge powers the growth for over 15,000 subscription merchants and their communities, turning one-time transactions into long-term customer relationships. Whether you're a direct-to-consumer business or an omni-channel brand, subscriptions strengthen your brand's relationship with your customers and makes it easy for consumers to make repeat purchases. With subscriptions, merchants are able to experience predictable revenue, increased customer loyalty, and higher average order values. Turn transactions into relationships and experience seamless subscription commerce with Recharge. Get started today with a subscriptions payment solution trusted by over 50 million subscribers worldwide by heading over to rechargepayments.com/uncensored.
You're listening to E-Commerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us in another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with...
Jason Caruso.
I feel like I'm coming across a little nasally this morning. You hear that? Or is that just me?
Yeah, a little bit. Not bad.
Anyway, before we get started, I wanted to mention our email service that we're providing our audience. We're going to jump into your email client, your Klaviyo, your whatever you're using, see what you're doing, and hopefully can step in and help you guys. To find out more about that, text the word email to 844-643-0745. You'll get an auto response back to us with a link to a little survey to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll see how we can help.
Yeah, Kevin, we've been doing this podcast for 5 or 6 years almost. And we've tried to help people with a lot of our experiences. One that we were helping people with was Facebook ads. And Facebook ads changed so much that it was really difficult to keep that product up to date. And, you and I have been talking a lot about email and how we know that our audience, the emails we get all the time are like email. And we've always felt like it, it's such like an old platform. It's like everybody should know how to do email. Like, why would anybody? And we knew for a long time that email was like a hot thing. We just chose to kind of ignore it. And the interesting thing about this is that we've had some really interesting businesses reach out to us with this new thing that we're offering. Email has probably been one of the most successful thing. And if you look at any of our before the pandemic, because obviously supply chain issues have come up, but before the pandemic, email was how literally all of our clients and most of our businesses made all their money.
Yeah.
And
It's been
so
like the constant the whole time.
yeah, so it's interesting since we've started doing this, like I feel like we've learned more about our audience in just a few episodes that we've been offering this service than we have over the last 5 years. Like I feel like we've learned a lot. And it's really interesting to see these people like reaching out and texting us. So if you have a business that's making money and you're just struggling with email, and dude, we're getting people reaching out to us that have multi-million-dollar businesses that are struggling with email, which is very interesting to me because, a lot of times like we see like huge potential in what they're doing just because of what their business is making and how much they're making from email. And we're like, oh shit, like there's like you can like increase your sales by 30-40% just by doing email right.
Yeah, we always talked about like doing an email course too alongside the Facebook course. And what we're learning through this whole text thing is that got a lot of bootstrappers out there, a lot of hustlers who are like doing everything. And to take a course is one thing, but it's another thing for someone to learn. We realize that people need help, so that's kind of what we're providing.
Right.
So
just text us. Yep.
Text email, the word email, to 844-643-0745.
So Kev, we're going to talk about something today that actually is email related.
Yeah.
So we've, you hear a lot of times that people talk about like the riches are in the niches, and you hear all these cliches, and you hear all these these people who make these statements and then don't kind of elaborate on it. And it could be confusing, I think. When somebody says the riches are in the niches, it kind of leaves you thinking like, okay, like what the hell does that mean? Exactly. And it sort of relates to email and what we're going to talk about today, which is segmentation, right? And when you are in a niche, like a very tight niche, you know exactly how to speak to people. And we will give an example from our new golf business that yesterday had the most sales we ever had, which is freaking awesome, man. Because like, I am just so excited about this business because I've been driving you crazy about it for so long. And you've been like, I don't know. We just
I think
got
you
so
might have
many
been driving our audience crazy too about it. Been talking about it here and there.
Yeah, because you've been, and then like, right. And you've been saying to me like, dude, like, I don't know. We got so much going on. Like, okay. And then finally, we had an opportunity to start it, and we did. And it's crazy to see something that we've created from nothing and making sales. But this is relevant to the topic today.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
But what is interesting about it is that until we shifted our focus with that product, nobody was buying, right? Until we started talking specifically to a specific golfer in that specific audience, nobody was buying anything. And that's sort of what sending email to your entire list is kind of like, right? So when you send an email to your entire list and you lump them all into one type of person, that's when things start going awry. When you're trying to, for instance, we just had somebody reach out to us with like a baby website. And if I have a 2-year-old today, right, we're recording this on April 13th. It'll be released on the 14th. But we're recording this on the 13th. And if I have a 2-year-old today, next year at this time, I will no longer have a 2-year-old. So speaking to me like I have a 2-year-old is not going to resonate.
Right. And your message gets lost, and the person at the other end kind of stops paying attention because they're like, yeah, that's not what I need anymore. So it's so important to create these groups of people and, and speak to them where they are in their journey in life, in their relationship with you. Because that's exactly what we did with the golf thing. Like you said, like we were collecting emails And until we, you know, answered some questions, like they answered some questions for us, which gave us a better idea of where they actually were in their golf journey, we were able to speak to them directly. And the people who came in who we didn't think was necessarily our exact customer at that time, we kind of segmented them into another group and spoke to them a little bit differently as well, because they too, like, so we want people to break 80, right? So we also got people who want to break 9. What's up?
I'm sorry, I didn't want you to get into that just yet, because I don't think everybody knows what breaking 80 is. So that's why, but in golf, right, the lower your score, the better, right? And in golf, the holy grail of golf is breaking 80. So shooting a 79 consistently is like the holy grail in golf, right? If you can do that, you're like in the top 5% of all golfers in the world. And when we first started the golf business, we were collecting emails. Well, we were collecting emails for everybody, but we were segmenting them depending on or according to what they're shooting. So like you said, there's some people who shoot 100. There are some people who shoot 90. And then there are those who want to shoot in the 80s. And then, like I said, the holy grail is in the 70s. So we started speaking to everybody generally. Now you can pick up.
Right. Like if you use myself as an example, like I'm a golfer, I'm an average golfer. I shoot in the 90s, between 90 and 100 consistently. And if you send me an email about breaking 80, it's really not going to resonate with me. I mean, people, obviously I want to shoot a lower score because that's always your goal. But
the gap
is too big, and it almost seems unattainable, especially when you're saying you're going to break 80 fast. We know as golfers, be like, yeah, that doesn't seem right to me. So it's not really necessarily going to work. So I'm kind of in that other segmentation where you kind of talk to me differently and try to bring me down. And maybe down the line, we have something else that would be perfect for me. And then you start communicating to me to try to sell me that thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we were running Facebook ads to this sales page, to like a general sales page, and nobody was buying. And then literally the minute it was almost like instantly, like I changed it from speaking to everybody to speaking to people just breaking 80 or who want to break 80. And almost instantly we got sales. Like, oh shit. Like, wait a minute. Like, this makes sense. Like, we're talking to a specific person. And that's kind of how you have to think about your segments in email, right? It's really like a good practice if you can get people's birth dates, if you're in the baby business, to get the age of their child, trying to get some of this data, these details about people so that you can speak to them a certain way later. And that's exactly what we did with the golf thing, right? Like I had a lead magnet and it said like email and then a drop down that said, I'm trying to break, and then 80, 90, and 100. And we were able to segment people depending on how they answered.
I think you also have to think about how a person gets on your list. You know, we talk a lot about having hero products and, you know, the 80-20 rule. You know, you're going to have that product that sells more than anything else. That's going to be your product that's going to bring the most customers in. Right now, we're running a campaign for one of our clients that, you know, it's a lead capture that is specifically for one product. But like most stores, I'm sure all the stores out there, you have multiple products. You know, you have to have multiple products as you build your business. So to bring someone in on a topic for that specific product and then just start blasting them with other products in your product line really kind of dilutes the real message that you're trying to get to them to really acquire that customer for that product that you brought them in for. So you bring them in for, let's just say, you know, a golf ball, you know, a topic, a lead magnet that you have for a golf ball, and then you start sending them emails about buying baseballs. Then you begin to throw them off, you know, they unsubscribe and they just start to like breeze by your emails all the time. And that's when you start losing people.
Ever wonder how those e-commerce brands you admire do it? How they know just the right message to send to the right people at the right time? Guess what? It's not experience. They have the right data and the right tools. They have Klaviyo. Klaviyo's data-driven marketing automation platform is sophisticated enough to power those legendary campaigns from the brands you admire, but they made it simple, easy, and fast enough for anyone to use. Klaviyo helps brands easily create personalized multi-channel marketing campaigns using your most powerful asset, your customers' data. Klaviyo integrates with all leading e-commerce platforms, helping you use your customer data in real time to send more relevant emails and SMS automations. Plus, building a marketing campaign is drag and drop easy. You can get started with your first campaign in under an hour and easily build from there with Klaviyo's best performing templates. Klaviyo gives you all the power of an enterprise marketing automation platform and none of the complexity, so you can compete with the big guys. No wonder more than 65,000 brands can't get enough. To get started with a free trial of Klaviyo, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. The subscription market is predicted to grow to nearly $500 billion by 2025. As a fast-growing area in commerce, subscriptions hold tremendous opportunity to build a community of customers who share your values. Recharge is the leading subscription management solution helping e-commerce merchants of all sizes launch and scale subscription offerings. Recharge powers the growth for over 15,000 subscription merchants and their communities, turning one-time transactions into long-term customer relationships. Whether you're a direct-to-consumer business or an omni-channel brand, subscriptions strengthen your brand's relationship with your customers and makes it easy for consumers to make repeat purchases. With subscriptions, merchants are able to experience predictable revenue, increased customer loyalty, and higher average order values. Turn transactions into relationships and experience seamless subscription commerce with Recharge. Get started today with the subscriptions payment solution trusted by over 50 million subscribers worldwide by heading over to rechargepayments.com/uncensored.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because when I started studying this copywriting thing, and I've said this before on the podcast, right? Everybody across all of these books that I've read, they all say the same thing. And I've mentioned this before, so if you heard this, I apologize for repeating it, but they all say the same thing. They say, you're not trying to sell people something, or you're not trying to persuade people to buy something that they don't want. The word they use is desire, that they don't desire or need, right? So you're not trying to be so slick that you can sell ice, or ice to an Eskimo, so to speak, right? Like, that's not the goal. The goal is to give people things that they already desire, that they already need and want. And that is how, and talking to different segments of your audience according to those details, you will see your conversions just skyrocket. Because even if you have a list, and I use this baby business as an example because it's a really good one for segmentation. Like, if I have a 2-year-old today and next year you send me emails about a 3-year-old and no one buy, and I never buy, you will probably get the impression about your list that it's not working, when really the problem is you're talking about 2-year-old clothes rather than 3-year-old clothes. So it's not relevant to me. If you then start talking about 3-year-old, 3T, in the baby world, now I may be interested. So it's very, very important. And I don't think, this is funny because Kim, one of our clients, that was like one of the big things when we first started working with her. She's like, "Oh, you guys are going to set up all these segments." And we were like, yeah, we're definitely going to set up the segments, but we needed time to do it. But the point is like, she really was like hot on that. And she was right. She wasn't wrong. And for that business, it's a hair product. So there are 4 different hair types. There's type A. Well, there's a lot more than 4, but there's type A, type B, type C, right?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry, 1, 2.
And then there's like 1A and 2.
1A. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, right? I don't have any hair, so it's kind of so type 1, type 2 are like different than type 3 and type 4. So if you're talking to type 1 and type 2 people like you would to a type 3 and type 4, all those people are just going to ignore your message.
Yeah, especially when everybody's flooded with so many messages. And like, if you really want to do email right and you want to do this, quote unquote, build a relationship with somebody, and they get the sense that you're really not speaking them directly, you're not really building a relationship with them. And people see through that now. They're like, oh yeah, they're just like blasting me with emails, and then just put it to the side, or, just don't even acknowledge that it even showed up, because there's so many distractions. You need to speak to them directly. That's why we talk about like speaking to a person by first name, make it seem like it's a really personalized approach.
Yeah. I think that people don't pay enough attention to this. I actually, even in my emails, with the golf business, not like, it's still a small list and it's still, so we're still building it. But when I spoke specifically about topics that were directly related to the person who was reading it, that's when I made the sales. But as soon as I made it too general and wasn't really speaking to anybody specifically, nobody was buying. And it's definitely an easy thing to overlook, and also a very easy thing to not pay too much attention to, right? Because we look at our email lists as all the same person, when really that's not like I mean, if you have 100,000 people on your email list, there could be 100,000 different personalities. So now what that leads to then is finding ways to segment people. And something that we've talked about, Kevin, years ago that is still relevant today. In fact, it may even be more relevant because it's easier to track clicks in an email now. We used to talk about like sending an email out to your list and maybe having like 4 images with 4 different links. So people can't see the links, but there are 4 different links with different images that go to different places. So if you may say something like, it's New Year's, and here are our top baby selections for 2022. And you have 4 images. One will say, 3T, 4T, whatever, 5, 6, 7. And you can segment people according to what they're clicking.
Right.
And then put them into segments that you can talk to them about later. And then you can kind of get an idea of where their baby is at in terms of their age. So you could do that with any business. You could do that with the golf business. Like I can send an email out with 4 pictures that say, if you can wave a magic wand, what would you do?
Yeah, because at the very beginning, when you're just bringing that person in, it's very hard to know all this information, right? It's not simple. Like you got to build that up over time. And on the front end of things, you really want to make it easy for someone to sign up for your list. Like you want to ask for maybe a first name and an email address. They come onto your list, and that doesn't give you much information. You'll get maybe their location based on their IP or anything like that. So then you have to try to figure out ways to gather that information. You don't want to you could send surveys and things like that, but to make it, like Jason said, be creative. We do that for the hair business we work with. We send an email after someone signs up after, several days, I think. And it's just 4 pictures of different hair types, and it has you select your hair type, and it takes you to a special offer based on that hair type. At that point, there's some, privacy issues with Apple that block some people, but for the most part, we can see where people go, and then we can put them in a bucket based on their hair type. And then we can speak to them, we can show them pictures with people with their hair type, and not, because then when you send a person a hair type that doesn't match theirs, the message gets lost. You can also talk. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, okay.
No, I was going to talk about another way to segment people is based on their activities, right? If they've been on your list for a really long time, you speak to them one way. If they just came onto your list, you speak to them another way. If they're not very active, if they're not opening your emails, if they're not clicking through your emails, you have to try to start getting them more engaged, and you speak to them differently to someone who's clicking through. That's showing me that person's really interested. I need to speak to them differently.
Yeah, and it may sometimes just take you being more specific to their problems to get that list going, or to get that engagement going. And it's so easy now to tag people right? It's so easy. You click a link, you tag them, and then you kind of know where they are in their journey. And it's a really, really good way to speak specifically. Another, that hair care product that we're talking about, Kevin, because here's the thing. One thing that another thing that really I think is eye-opening was with the hair care product and Kim, right? Even though you can have 4 types of hair on, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 on your email list, there may be a segment, and this is something I don't think a lot of people do, but there may be a segment of people who tend to buy your product more than others. So what I mean by that is, even though maybe you're pitching to a type 3 hair, maybe they don't buy your product. Maybe it's a type 1s who are buying your product. And segmenting your list and segmenting your customers will give you all of that data that will allow you to tailor your message. And I don't think enough people do that. It's like, okay, yeah, I have this segment of people and I have that segment of people. That's great. It doesn't stop there though. It's like, okay, well, are those people buyers? And if they're not, then just ignore them. If they're not going to buy, I mean, if they're on your list for 6 months and they're never going to buy, and you sent them multiple emails and they've never bought, maybe you put them aside and you don't mail to them.
Yeah,
you don't
clean
send
your list. Yeah, we do that all the time. People who haven't opened our emails in 90 days, our open rates skyrocket, and it helps your deliverability moving forward when you can exclude those people. You just know people haven't opened your email in 90 days. The chances are they're not going to open your email. So why send to them? Why spend the money on that person being on your list? So clean your list, keep it clean.
Yeah. So very, very important to do this, man. Speak directly to the people or the problem that your customer is trying to solve. And you will see, I will promise you, if you do this right, you will see a massive, it happened with the hair care product. We shifted our focus and started to become more targeted, and the business blew up. The golf business, it wasn't working. All of a sudden, we change around who we're talking to, and boom, it starts working. I could talk about this over and over and over again. We can go down all of our businesses that we've ever worked with. And the minute you start getting specific to the right person, then you'll see sales start happening. The problem is that people get discouraged because they're like, well, this segment is too small and I'm going to flood, I'm going to saturate the market. Like, no, dude, you're good. Trust me. There's a lot more people out there that can buy your stuff.
Yeah. I get lost in segmenting. We obviously use Klaviyo because it gives you all that data, but you got to make sure that you have a tool that can do all this stuff. It sometimes amazes me the amount of different segments, based on all kinds of things that you can do when you're inside Klaviyo and grouping people together. And I could just sit there forever because I'll make a segment based on, I don't know, I'll just come up with something and then I'll export the list and I'll just look at the historical value, the historic lifetime value and things like that over and over again, how many orders they placed, just to see how that segment is doing. And if that segment's doing really well, okay, I did it last night. We ran a giveaway for one of our clients, and I looked at that time period of when people came into our list, because that's what our campaign was for a giveaway. I looked at that group of people and how that sales went. And it's now been 6 months later. I can look at the sales from that segment and be like, wow, that campaign, because it takes time to build that up. That campaign worked really well after 6 months. So maybe we have to continue doing that same campaign we did 6 months ago, because we know that return will be there.
Yeah, it's really and we've tried what some of our newer businesses that we've started, we've tried other email platforms just because until we were making money, we weren't going to, we just wanted to just find something that was inexpensive that we can just, but after literally a week, we were just yeah, we got to go to Klaviyo, and
Right.
and we just bite the bullet. With the cost of it, it's just an investment, and it just gives you too much data. It's really hard to argue against data,
Right. So, do you want our help to do these kinds of things? these segmentations, understanding how you can talk to your specific segments better, do better with your email marketing. Text the word email to 844-643-0745. Again, you'll get a little link back you'll fill out a form, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll see how we can help.
Yeah, it's really cool to see these businesses reaching out to us, Kev, because it's amazing to see like how much potential some of these businesses have if they just did email a little bit better.
Yeah, I love it too, because it's giving us some insight on what to talk about too. We're getting insights on who's listening to our podcast, and it's something we've struggled with a little bit. So it's been really
Podcast
great.
is growing though, man. I would thank everybody, dude. We got to thank everybody. I mean, there were days we were getting like quadruple the downloads that we were getting. I don't know if that's still going. Is that still happening?
No, not really. It's just
No,
like
not
a
really.
little spike that we had in traffic.
Little
there.
spike.
I don't know why. It was over a weekend.
It's still growing though. It's growing.
Definitely growing. 100%. All
All
right,
right, Kev.
guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Attention e-commerce founders, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, marketers, and growth hackers. If you're working around the clock to build your dream e-commerce business, you need an e-commerce marketing platform that works just as hard as you do. That means you need Klaviyo. With Klaviyo, you'll delight customers and drive revenue at the same time. With personalized email and SMS marketing campaigns, you can design and send in minutes. For more, visit klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. The subscription market is predicted to grow to nearly $500 billion in 2025. Recharge is the leading subscription management solution helping e-commerce merchants of all sizes launch and scale their subscription offerings. Over 15,000 merchants use subscriptions powered by Recharge to grow their businesses and their communities by increasing average order value, reducing churn, and providing predictable, recurring revenue. Turn transactions into long-term customer relationships and experience seamless subscription commerce with Recharge. Check them out at rechargepayments.com/uncensored.